start the always fun, sometimes brutal game of Trade This, Not That, December edition. As we kick off the month of December, we are in the season of window dressing. We are in the season of Santa, and we are in an environment where the S&P and the NASDAQ have quite literally the path of least resistance, right? Moving to the upside. And I'm going to show you all, let's focus mostly on the 60 and the 1 hour, because these are the two time frames that allow us to trade short-term swings, 60-minute time frame, longer-term swings, daily time frame. When we have the green structure at the bottom of the chart, let's always build our trades in the bottom. What's the structure? If it's green, that's going to be long calls only or long positions, and that's obviously what we have on the NQ. So in the first bit of Trade This, Not That, trade the NASDAQ to the long side for swings, not necessarily the Russell. Right? So if I'm going to look for where the follow through is going to have the ability to go parabolic, to get accelerated, it's going to be the NASDAQ, not the Russell. Let's take it to the next level. What about S&P versus Dow? Well, this one's a little tougher. It's not that I don't want to trade the Dow to the long side. I don't actually have a problem with it, but if I have to prioritize, which so much of trading is prioritizing where we're going to spend our attention, where we're going to spend our capital. It is limited, right? It is not finite. So we all have to prioritize, and that actually, the winner there is going to be the S&P. Now, we're above 4,600. The S&P is going to benefit from not only the strength of the NASDAQ, but specifically the two cylinders in this motor that are firing off, which is tech and financials. So we love that. Okay, let's go to the sector level. Let's trade this, not that. XLK, this is Apple, this is Microsoft versus XLC. All right, XLK is going to win here. XLC has been a little wobbly because we've got the likes of Google no longer in an uptrend. Well, if I look at Apple and Microsoft, the number 1 and number 2 weighted stocks within the XLK, which by the way is a number 1 weighted sector in the NASDAQ and in the S&P, I've got Microsoft and Apple both green trends. That's going to benefit the XLK. So in the game of Trade This, Not That, not only will I tell you favor XLK stocks, I'll also say favor Apple or Microsoft over Google. Now what about Meta? Am I dissing Meta? I absolutely am. Trade This, Not That. Apple and Microsoft, yes. Meta and Google. Not that you want to short these, but if you're looking for trends, they're happening in the XLK. All right, what about healthcare and financials? This is an easy one. Trade This, Not That. Stick with financials. If strength is going to get stronger, then financials are going to benefit. Yes, healthcare is trying to get above the 200 exponential moving average. I don't know that I want to be an avid short seller here, but financials should outperform, as should the XLK. Now, what about KRE? This is a tricky one. KRE is still down on the year. Russell's still struggling. So while I don't want to short KRE, I would far prefer to be long XLF over KRE. So in a game of Trade This, Not That, XLF is going to win over KRE. However, KRE is looking about as good as it's looked in a while. Just be aware that if there is going to be tax loss harvesting, it's going to happen probably more so in KRE than the big banks. This is regional banks, by the way. All right, what about gold versus bonds in a game of Trade This, Not That? I would prefer to be long gold. In fact, as of today, I am long GLD calls. Gold versus bonds. Which one? Gold. It's above the 200. The trend is more established. While I don't have a problem buying TLT or buying ZB, keep in mind the first target's going to be right around where it stopped before, around the 120.22 level, and then the 200 propulsion sitting just above the 121 handle. GC has, even though it's had a tough day today, it has far less resistance to the upside. It's above the 200. It should continue to benefit from buy the dip. All right, so GC versus ZB. This one's a tough one, but GC will take the win on Trade This, Not That. All right, well, let's take a look at consumer discretionary. We haven't talked about Amazon or Home Depot or Tesla. XLY is moving higher. What within the XLY is actually looking really good? Well, if you crack open consumer discretionary, it's a very quirky corner of the NASDAQ. Yes, the NASDAQ. It's the number 3 weighted sector within the NAS. You've got Amazon, Tesla, Home Depot, McDonald's, Nike, Lowe's, Starbucks. Trade This, Not That. What are the top 4 names that I'm looking to be long in the XLY? Well, number 1 is Amazon. It's a number 1 weighted stock in the XLY, and it's in a pretty erratic but overall uptrend. What's another corner of the market? Corner of the XLY that I would like? Home Depot. Beautiful uptrend north of the 200. Certainly less Dramamine inducing than Amazon. McDonald's above the 200, also an uptrend. And then Nike. So quirky sector where you've got tech and Amazon, followed by things like Home Depot, McDonald's, and Nike. But again, I would focus on Nike. In a game of Trade This, Not That, I will not emphasize Lowe's. Home Depot versus Lowe's, Home Depot wins. However, Lowe's might be able to get above the 200 and turn into an uptrend. Maybe Home Depot lifts all tides, but right now, Home Depot over Lowe's. All right, what about Tesla? Tesla's not on the list, right? Tesla's doing better. It's above the 200. I sure don't want to short it, but in a game of relative outperformers, this is not one of them. Right? I will say, though, that Tesla, more so than a lot of other stocks in the consumer discretionary, has done a fantastic job of bouncing back and forth from its historical volatility, daily price movement ranges. So Amazon, Home Depot, McDonald's, and Nike in terms of the relative outperformers within the XLY. And by the way, the fact that the XLY, the XLC, and the XLK sectors are moving so nicely higher is why the NASDAQ continues to be my favorite sector as we wrap up the month of December. That is how we play the relative performance game, gang. Think about Trade This, Not That before you fall in love with a setup in your favorite stock, and ask yourself, would I be able to use the same setup in a relative outperforming name to better results? That's always what I'm asking myself. Don't have favorites. Focus on the relative performance. Have a wonderful weekend. As always, if you have a Trade This, Not That question, give me the 2 names. Give me the 2 sector symbols, indices that you're looking at. We can break it down. Thanks as always for your time. Thanks for smashing the like button. I'll see y'all next week.